Every artist who works with ball-jointed dolls dreams of sculpting the perfect ball-jointed doll face, one that looks like it's ready to step off the shelf and join a gallery. But let me tell you, friends, creating that ideal doll face from polymer clay is anything but simple. It's more like trying to balance a tower of tiny teacups while riding a unicycle. Be honest with me. Have you been there? You're in the middle of doll face sculpting, adding clay, smoothing out the features, and suddenly something wrong. The polymer clay face you're working on has taken a strange turn. Instead of delicate creation, you have ended up with something that looks more like a distant cousin of the Hulk. Bigger, meaner, and way off balance. Sound familiar? If it does, don't worry. You're definitely not the first person to experience these doll face sculpting nightmares. In fact, most of us fall into same traps when starting out with BJD face sculpting. But the good news? We can fix this together. To help you avoid these common mistakes, I designed a special course where we sculpt the BJD doll face starting from the skull. Yes, we are talking about creating the full structure first, before we even start shaping the finer details. This method has been a game changer, especially when using polymer clay. My student results? Absolutely stunning, with beautiful polymer clay doll faces that look professional. But today I want to walk you through the most frequent mistakes people make when they start doll face sculpting or doll face molding. Let's see if you recognize any of these. The lips. The first battle you are bound to lose. Let's talk about the lips, one of the hardest parts of BJD doll face sculpting. Why do they always insist on looking like they've been through one too many rounds of filler? You start with the best intentions, shaping the lips from clay, but before you know it, your poor doll looks like she has just returned from an extreme makeover show. So, what's the issue here? Let's go back to the basics. Think about that creepy Joe model you always seen at the dentist. That little doll face mold, shaped like a horseshoe, is your secret to understanding how to sculpt lips properly when working with doll face clay. The lips follow the curve of the jaw, which is essential when shaping a polymer clay doll face. If you forgot this, you might end up with lips that are too straight or unnatural. Here is a quick tip. Divide the lips into 3 sections. The middle section should be straight, while the sides curve naturally. The eyes, the second major pitfall. Now on to the eyes, a classic mistake in doll face sculpting. How many times have you placed the eyes too high, making poor doll look like she is starring in a horror movie? You focus so much on the details of the doll face that you forget about the bigger picture, especially the overall proportion of the head. Here is a simple way to check your proportions. Draw a line through the pupils of your BJD face sculpting project. This line should cut the head in half. I know it seems counterintuitive, but the entire face needs to sit in the lower half of the head when you are doing doll face molding. If you skip this step, the forehead ends up squished and the whole head looks off. And of course, don't forget to mark the center line when you are working with polymer clay. This is essential for keeping your features aligned. No one wants a doll whose nose is sliding sideways while the chin is on vacation. The face shape, avoiding pancake head syndrome. And now the final, and perhaps the most common mistake in BJD doll face sculpting, the shape of the face itself. If you are focusing too much on the details, you can easily forget about the overall shape. And before you know it, you have got a doll face that's way too wide, what I like to call pancake head syndrome. Here is the secret. When you are looking down at the head from above, it should be shaped like a chicken egg. The back of the head is wider than the front. When you are doing doll face molding, remember that the face when viewed from the front, is narrower than the rest of the head. The forehead is also narrower than the back of the head. If you get this wrong, your ball-jointed doll face might end up looking more like a cartoon than a lifelike creation. Step by step, don't panic. Finally, here is the most important tip of all. Don't panic. Sculpting the perfect doll face takes time and practice, especially when working with polymer clay. You will make mistakes along the way, everyone does. But if you stick with it and take things step by step, you will create a doll that's uniquely yours. Remember, the ball-jointed doll face of your dreams is waiting for you. You just need to bring it to life with patience and a little bit of humor. An unexpected Matryoshka story in Barcelona's fabric shop. So, let me take you on a little journey. One of my favorite places in Barcelona isn't some touristy spot or fancy restaurant. It's a fabric shop. Yes, I know what might sound odd, but as a doll artist, fabrics are like candy to me. I'm a regular visitor there. Every time I walk through those doors, it's like stepping onto a world full of textures, colors, and endless possibilities for creating my ball-jointed dolls. And trust me, the right fabric can truly make or break the look of the doll. On my last visit, something interesting happened. I struck up a conversation with two delightful young saleswomen who worked there. It turns out these lovely ladies were from Tokyo. Now, as someone who's deeply involved in BJD doll face sculpting and creating doll faces from clay, hearing that they were from Japan was exciting. Japan holds a special place in my heart because dolls, they are more than just playthings, they are part of their cultural legacy. The attention to detail in creating faces, like in BJD face sculpting, is something I have always admired. So naturally, I was immediately intrigued. We started talking, and suddenly, with big smiles, they said, "We know Russian dolls, Matryoshka." And that's when I had to pause. Matryoshka dolls in a fabric shop in Barcelona, discussed with Japanese girls, you really never know where life's conversation will take you. Matryoshka, the doll with Japanese origin story. Now here is where this history takes a twist, one that sales girls didn't see coming. I had to gently break the news to them. While Matryoshka dolls are indeed famous as a symbol of Russian culture, the story behind them is a bit more complex than they probably imagined. It's one of those interesting turns of history that makes you stop and smile. The Matryoshka doll, which everyone knows as a symbol of Russian folk art, was actually created relatively recently at the end of the 19th century. It wasn't some Asian tradition passed down from the deeps of Russian history, but rather it was designed as a souvenir for an exhibition. And here the kicker, it was inspired by a Japanese figure. That's right, the prototype for Matryoshka was a Japanese doll of an old wise man named Fukurama. A Fukurama, like the Russian nesting dolls we know today, was a set of figures that fit one inside the other. This traditional Japanese doll was brought to Russia, where it underwent a transformation. The figure became female and evolved into what we now call Matryoshka. And here is a fun side note. Matryoshka dolls don't really have to worry about doll face sculpting or struggling with proportions, do they? Their heads smoothly transition into their shoulders, torsos, and eventually, straight to their hips. No neck, no problem. If only sculpting ball-jointed dolls were that simple. In Russia, the character of the doll was feminized, becoming a mother figure. And this is where the name Matryoshka comes into play. The name Matryoshka derives from the Russian name Matryona, which interestingly enough have Latin roots. The Latin word matrona or madre means mother or mother of the family. So in a way, the Matryoshka is a symbol of motherhood and family united, with each smaller doll nestled inside the larger one, representing generations of mothers and daughters. Isn't it fascinating how two cultures, separated by geography and history, are connected by something as simple as a doll? Japan's Fukurama became Russia's Matryoshka, each embodying different aspects of family and wisdom, yet both shared through the universal language of craftsmanship. It's moments like this that make me feel like creating BJD dolls is part of something much larger, something that connects us all across borders and time. So there was a fabric shop in Barcelona explaining the Russian Matryoshka's origins to two enthusiastic girls from Japan. It was a delightful exchange, one where I got to share a bit of Russian history, and I got to see how their culture had an unexpected influence on a beloved Russian symbol. The world truly is more interconnected than we often realize. And for me, as someone who loves BJD doll face sculpting and creating details, this was a reminder of how our art is always influenced by different cultures and histories. Dolls in particular are a reflection of human creativity. Whether it's a ball-jointed doll face or nesting dolls, they tell stories of the people who made them and the cultures they come from. From Japan's Fukurama to Russia's Matryoshka and beyond, dolls have this wonderful way of connecting us all, just like those nested layers, one inside the other. You know, I'm always trying to figure out the age of my audience. It's this little mystery that fascinates me. At what point of life do people allow themselves to start playing a game? When does creativity break free from the boundaries of adult life and dolls find their way into someone's heart? The answer is simple: at any age. Dolls don't care about age. They don't have an expiry date or a time frame. They come into your life when they are meant to, when you are ready for them, even if you don't realize it yourself yet. For me, it happened just before I turned 30. At that point, dolls had already taken complete control over my life, my career, and my lifestyle. I didn't just connect or admire them, I lived them. But let's be honest, I had been crafting all sorts of quirky little characters long before that. The love for creating them was always there, simmering under the surface. One of my students, a high schooler, once told me something remarkable. With a steady voice and the kind of conviction only teenagers have, she said, "I have decided I'm going to be a doll artist." That moment stuck with me. It reminded me that there is no right or wrong time to decide what your passion will be. She knew earlier on, but many of my other students took a different path. Some of my students started making dolls late in life, after raising their kids, when they finally had the time to indulge in something for themselves. It's incredible to see the enthusiasm they bring to their craft. They dive into BJD dolls with the same passion as anyone half their age, and there is so inspiring. Then there are the younger tech-savvy crowd, those who came to doll making through digital sculpting and 3D printing, combining modern technology with this ancient art form. And the range of ages does not stop there. My youngest student was just 12 years old. Can you imagine? She approached doll face sculpting with such curiosity and precision. My oldest student, on the other hand, was 75. Dolls, it seems, have a way of deciding for themselves when they are going to take up residence in your heart. You don't get to choose the moment, they do. Now, speaking of journeys, there is something else I have been working on, learning English. I have a wonderful teacher named Saraya, who, believe it or not, is also from Japan. She has been helping me improve my English, and I am making steady progress. Soon I'll introduce you all to her. She is going to help me stay cool and collected during my upcoming streams. Yes, you heard me right. I am planning to start live streaming soon as I get a few more subscribers on the channel. But here is where you can help. If you have been enjoying this episode and want to see more content and me slightly panicking but staying on course thanks to Saraya, then please share this video with your friends on social media. Give it a like, and if you feel inspired, leave a detailed comment below. I read every single one and I'll definitely respond. Plus, leaving comments helps YouTube show my videos to new viewers. It's a win-win-win for everyone. So why do I think dolls can take over your life at any age? It's because dolls are pure play. And play, my friends, knows no boundaries. Whether you are young, old, or somewhere in between, the desire to create, to imagine, and to express yourself through art never truly goes away. Ball-jointed dolls, polymer clay doll faces, and all the little details that go into doll face sculpting, it's like stepping back into that childhood wonder where the possibilities are endless. You are free to create whatever character comes to mind, to build entire worlds with your hands. Some people think that play is only for kids, but that's not true at all. Play it for anyone who is willing to open their heart to it. It's a way of reconnecting with that spark of creativity that we all had when we were children, but when we sometimes lose along the way. Dolls are more than just objects, they are vessels of imagination. They are also a way to express yourself, to tell stories, and to explore new ideas. I mean, just look at the BJD dolls. We create the artistry and the attention to detail that goes into sculpting their faces, designing their outfits, and creating their personalities. It's no wonder that so many people are drawn to them. For some of us, that connection with dolls starts earlier. Others, like many of my students, discover this love late in life. But whenever it happens, it's always the right time. So if you are sitting there thinking, maybe I am too old to start making dolls, or I don't know if I have the skills for this, let me tell you this, it's never too late. Whatever you are, 12 or 75, whether you raised a family or spent years working in tech, dolls will find a way into your life, if you let them. You don't care about your background or your age, they just want to be created. So why not give it a try? You might just discover the whole new passion you never knew had. And remember, I am here with you. Together we will keep creating, playing, and bringing these beautiful ball-jointed dolls to life. So don't forget to like, share, and comment on this video. Let's keep this creative community growing, and let's help others find the journey that comes from doll making. You never know who might be waiting for that one push to start their own doll journey. Before we wrap things up, let me give you a sneak peek of what's coming in the next episode. I am finally going to talk about my wooden dolls. Yes, the ones I have been working on for over a year and a half now, longer than it takes to raise actual children. Trust me, these wooden beauties have been a true labor of love, and I cannot wait to show you the process, the details, and all the ups and downs of what comes with working in wood. So, make sure you don't miss it. Oh, and comments. Leave a detailed comment below. Let me know your thoughts, your experiences, or even just say hello. I read and respond to everyone, and it helps my videos reach new people. So, it's a win-win-win all around. My workshop is located in Barcelona, an amazing city of sea, sun, and history. I invite you to immerse yourself in the atmosphere of creativity in the historic part of the city, where the most charming establishments, galleries, museums, and shops are concentrated. Treat yourself to an adventure and have a fantastic time. Spend a week as a doll artist, soaking up the energy of one of the most creative cities in the world. Leave an application on the website or message me directly on Instagram. No matter your artistic skills, we'll definitely have something to chat about. Become part of the global community.